Good morning. Thanks for joining us for LCN Day 2. Welcome back. Welcome for the first time for some of you who were not here last time. I just want to take a moment to introduce you to our early literacy coaches team here at the Kent ISD. My name is Shoemaker. My colleagues here are Christi, Gilbert, Diane, Titche, Momber, and we are going to talk with you a little bit about getting acclimated to the setting this morning, and then we'll send you off to your first session. Our purpose today is to collectively advance our capacity for teaching and the learning of literacy, so not only in ourselves, but in those around us in our school and district environments. Our outcomes are to gain knowledge and skills to impact instruction for all learners. If you were here last time, you'll remember that our goal is to build capacity in all learners, both adults and students in our settings, and that's the theme that we're kind of focusing on this year. And then to be able to take back and communicate actionable items to your building or district. So this morning, briefly, we will talk about in what ways will we collectively grow all learners, and that will be your theme throughout the day. So you'll see in your packet, you have a recording sheet on the back, very much like we did last time. There's 4 squares. You can write in those squares for each session, or you can put a sticky note with jots of your notes in there, but we wanted something handy for you to have a note-taking form with you wherever you go. LCN structures are also in that packet, so you'll look at the flow of the day today in there, and I believe Diane will talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. The Google Classroom, we will learn how to get in there, find your problem of practice guide, see the announcements if you haven't yet joined that. I believe the codes are not on there. Are they in the pack? Oh, sorry. I was looking on the front sheet. So if you need that Google Classroom code because you were not here last time or something wasn't working with your technology, they are on the description sheets again. And then we'll talk about problem of practice and how we're reflecting on our learning today and how that impacts the work we do back in our school districts, and we'll do some reflection and action. One of the main goals of our network is to collaborate. We are going to take a few minutes to take a look at our norms of collaboration, and I'm going to ask that you just choose one quietly to yourself that you plan on kind of focusing on today for this session and for your breakout sessions throughout the day. And so now we are going to take a minute and we are going to think back to our problem of practice. If you weren't here the last time, one of the things that we're asking participants this year is to kind of think of a challenge or something that you're working on in your building or in your district right now. Maybe something that you as a team are kind of grappling with, or maybe something individually. And so we are going to have you think about what that problem of practice might be and kind of reflect a little bit on what are some of the celebrations that you're seeing as you're moving through the year, and then what is the challenge that you are still facing, hoping that when you come to the breakout sessions throughout the day, you'll be able to start kind of finding answers and networking with people who can help you focus on these challenges. So I'm going to give you about 1 minute to reflect and to think about this, and then we're going to have you kind of look around the room and look for somebody who is wearing the same color as you, and you're going to match up with that person, and you're going to share out your celebration and your challenges. So go ahead and take a minute and think about that problem of practice and think about those celebrations and challenges you're facing.
Okay, so just a few logistics for our day. Here at the ISD, we use a triple track agenda, and that means basically there's 3 modes of learning that happen throughout the day for you. The one in the middle says learner experience, and that's really what can you take back for yourself? What are you learning to grow as a professional yourself? The modeling is how can you take back this information to facilitate learning for your team? And the strategies for learning is how can you apply what you're learning to help your students in your classroom? Our structure for Literacy Coaches Network is the same every session. This is day 2. We have another day coming up in December and then one in February. Right now you're in the opening session. Following this, you'll go to our morning breakout and then a What's Hot or Not article discussion. That'll be followed by lunch, and then after lunch is an afternoon breakout, and then we will meet back in here for a collective group closure at the end of the day. You have this schedule in your packet. This will tell you where you need to go as far as rooms and the times for each of our sessions. So you can see, and then also the titles of the articles are there for the What's Hot or Not sessions. We do ask that you come back from lunch on time. Our afternoon sessions are very full, so we will be starting right at 12:15. We are fortunate to have the authors of 2 of the 3 books that we're studying this year coming to Grand Rapids. Jill Jackson, the author of How to Coach Teachers Almost Anything, will be here on February 28th. Registration is open for that event in the Kent ISD PD Hub. And then Kelly Gallagher and Penny Kittle will be here in June for 3 days. You will see that in the PD Hub right now, but registration is not yet open for that. We do use Google Classroom for all of our sessions, and our main goal in doing this is to provide opportunities to continue the discussions outside of the 4 days that we're physically here together, for you to be able to access resources that we share with you. All of our slide decks for each of our sessions are in Google Classroom, so if you want to go back and look at anything, often we link to things in our slide decks so that you can access resources that way. If you have not yet been into Google Classroom, you can get there by just putting in the URL classroom.google.com. If you have never joined Classroom, you want to join as a teacher. And then in your packet, where each of the session descriptions are, is a classroom code. And you'll just click to join a class and put that code in, and that will put you into that class. And you can join as many classes as you need to.
Katie mentioned a little bit earlier this morning about this idea of problem of practice. And so we're going to walk through this a little bit more just to get your minds set, and kind of this is like your anticipatory set for your learning for the day. And start to think about what your problem of practice may be and where in these stages you might be today. So for some of you, you're starting right at the beginning with empathizing and trying to define your problem. So when we empathize, we think about who are our learners? What are they like? What are their needs? What are their strengths? We have to know our learners before we can define a problem of practice. We also have to know ourselves. Sometimes a problem of practice is not a struggle with an adult learner. It's not a struggle with a student learner or a student population. It's a struggle that I'm having within myself. I know that I need to grow in a certain area, and so that's my problem of practice. In which case, I kind of need to empathize with myself. I need to know, what are my strengths? What are my challenges? What is my setting? What is my context? So when you think about that problem of practice, start to think about who is it that you're working with, and what do you know about them? What other information might be missing that you still need to gather? And then defining your problem of practice. And really, defining your problem of practice is about 90% of the work and the time. Once you have a clear definition of what it is that you're working towards, then you can find solutions and begin to move forward. So if you're still grappling with a clear definition of your problem of practice, that may be something that you want to focus on today. After you have a clear definition of what it is that you're really working towards, or something that you are grappling with, either a struggle that you're having with a particular group of learners, or some area that you want your teachers to move forward in, or an area of growth within yourself, and you've defined that clearly, then you can start gathering ideas. And that's really where we come together today, is to start to gather ideas that will help us move forward with that problem of practice. So kind of we're living within this kind of ideate today and starting to gather ideas. And after we have our ideas, then we'll go back and we'll do this prototype and test. We'll actually take those ideas and put them in place. And we'll do something with them. And once we do something with them, then we'll start to see, oh, I need more ideas. Or we'll do something with them and say, oh, you know what? That became a little bit clearer, but now I need to refine my definition. Or once you put them in place, you may even come back and say, wow, I need to find out a little bit more about who my learners are. So it looks linear, but you notice all of the arrows going backwards. It starts linear, but then it starts to get a little bit messy because we end up in different places. So before you move out to your next session this morning, take a minute to think about where you might be in this process. And then when you come back for our group closure this afternoon, you will be given time to work through a guide that we've put together that will help you reflect on what you've done with your problem of practice so far, as well as add more ideas and begin to think about how you might implement a prototype or test out those ideas. And you'll be given ample time this afternoon to do that. Okay, Sarah did mention on the back of your blue handout, there's a 4-grid sheet. If you would just take just a second to write at the top of this grid what it is that you want to focus on today. What is your problem of practice? Maybe something you've learned where you realize, oh, I need more information about this in order to continue moving forward. Go ahead and write your focus for the day at the top of this blue sheet. And then at the end of every session, you'll be given an opportunity to just fill in some notes that you can carry with you until our closing session.